Good morning. Today's adventure is brought to you by a brand new state. That's right, this is probably the 7th or the 8th state that I've covered in hiking videos since I started making videos. And today we are in the great state of North Carolina, Western North Carolina to be exact. That's right, we are right outside, that's not outside, we are in the Blue Ridge Mountain Range, right outside the Smoky Mountains. If you bear with me, sooner or later I plan on doing a video in the Smoky Mountains once I get my butt out that way. But we're not going to be doing that quite yet today. We're going to be doing the Linville Gorge in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Now the Linville Gorge is, if you go ahead and Google that, it is called the Grand Canyon of the Southeast. I've hiked the Grand Canyon before and it is fantastic. And it's a little bit different than other hikes. In that all of those mountain hikings you start by going up. It's a little bit different psychologically because at the beginning you start making incredible time because everything you're doing is going downhill, as opposed to already getting that energy expenditure by hiking uphill. So you have to plan properly because it's going to be a bear on the way back out, as opposed to taking it easy going downhill. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. I keep wiping my face because although there's 3 other cars in the parking lot, but if the billions of spider webs is the worst thing that I run into today, we'll call that a win, right? Especially based off of the that warning sign that I took at the beginning of this hike, the video, the warning sign I took at the beginning. I'm holding my GoPro camera out in front of me, and it's you guys won't be able to see it, but I got all these spider webs hanging off of it because the GoPro is hitting the webs first. So that's my knockdown mechanism for the time being. I apologize at the beginning of this video. It's coming across a little choppy. My GoPro is acting up on me and it is auto stopping the videos after about 30 seconds, and it's no fun doing technical troubleshooting when you're walking downhill on trails like this. It's not the most ideal situation, but hopefully we got that sorted out and we won't have any of those more quick stops. Here's a good lookout point we walked to. I'm not sure if the microphone's picking it up, but you can hear the river out in the distance. That's going to be the Linville River, which created the Linville Gorge, fed to by the Linville Falls, which I will be checking out later on. Later on today. My cabin is actually right next to the Linville Falls, and the trailhead was only about 8 miles from my cabin, so I figured, oh wow, this is a perfect, probably closer to 45 minutes, because it was all dirt road. I have a Dodge Ram pickup truck and it had a hard time navigating this road. It definitely wasn't maintained, but that just goes to show you how deep into the wilderness we are. And speaking of wilderness, this Linville Gorge is part of the Pisgah wilderness. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and climb up there and maybe get a better view of things. Here we go. Yeah, this is much better. Hey, all right, check this one out. All right, you see the river. It's probably right down there, cutting through the trees. You see the gap in the tree tops there. Hear it off in the distance. Sounds quite big, actually. Yeah, it's part of the Pisgah wilderness, which, I don't know, this land was taken over by Cherokees back in the day, so I imagine that Pisgah is some Cherokee word. Don't know what it means, but it is quite pretty. Well, I don't think I fixed my GoPro. It is an older one, so again, I apologize for the choppiness of the videos. If I immediately cut out at 40-second marks, I'll just try to get all my information out in quicker spurts. So, excuse the word vomit, I guess. So Linville Gorge was named after some guy named Linville. I didn't find too much information about him other than the fact that he and his kid were killed out here by Cherokee Indians, so they ended up naming the gorge after him. The Cherokee had a name for it called ECO, which stands for River of Many Cliffs. But if you watch any of my other videos, you know I think that we should revert back to the Native American names for these areas. It was the first one, and plus ECO, River of Many Cliffs, sounds so much more badass than just Linville. I heard about Linville Gorge because I have to be in North Carolina for training for 2 weeks, and I had nothing to do on the weekend, so I reached out to the North Carolina hiking subreddit and I asked them what I should hit up for, a weekend hike. I prefaced my question saying, I hike a lot in New Hampshire and such, so I'm used to, a little bit more of the more difficult hikes, and the vast majority of responses were Linville Gorge is the closest thing to New Hampshire that you're going to get. I haven't seen that quite yet. It's a lot more sandy out here, but again, compared to something called the Granite State, you're probably going to be a little bit more sandy. But it is pretty. The trail is very tight, confining, which means that spiders love to put their webs across it, and I'm breaking down each and every one of them. People who watch my videos are probably getting tired of me complaining about it, but it's to the point now where it's almost like, why even bother wiping my face to get the spider webs off, because it's just going to keep happening. But I guess spider webs on someone's face is one of the more unnerving sensations you can experience. Not that I'm even that scared of spiders, it's just nobody likes that, right? The trail is flattening out a little, and the river is definitely getting louder, and I'm definitely under a lot more cover of trees, so I might be getting close to the bottom of the gorge now, which is fine by me, being under the cover of the trees, because it got warm really fast. I started my my hike with a sweatshirt on, and that didn't last very long at all. Today was supposed to be torrential downpours, which would have sucked, but it would have been my only opportunity to come out here, so I would have hiked it in the rain anyway, and I'm really glad I didn't have to do that, because that downhill would have been incredibly treacherous coming down. Remember I said it was pretty sandy? Well, it would have been very muddy, so it would have been pretty treacherous coming down in that, and almost probably near impossible to go ahead and ascend it unless I, grabbing along the trees, pulling myself up. But I lucked out big time, because it's a nice day. It's it's still nice and cool down here, but perfect hiking weather so far. It's opening up a little. It was really hard to get lost on the descent, because parts of that trail, my shoulders were hitting both sides of it. I'm a pretty broad guy, but we're talking about what, 2.5 feet across for that trail. So Pinchin, that's the trail I went down. Not sure which one of these crossroads I got to take, but you can definitely hear the river getting louder, so we're probably embarking on it quite soon. Well, here we are, the first looks of the mighty Linville River. It doesn't look that mighty, but it carved out this huge gorge between these mountains. It probably took centuries and centuries to do so, but it did it. So in my book, that's a pretty strong river. Looks like there's some rapids up there and some rapids down there, so I got the calm area here. It looks like it'd be a really fun place to go kayaking. Remember what I said about kayaking this river? Well, scratch that. It's a little bit above my expertise level. But when they said that this is the closest you can get to New Hampshire, I understand what they're saying now. I'm on a trail called the Linville River Gorge, which runs parallel to the river itself. And it looks like, as the river cut through these mountains, it dropped all the talus down. So there's been a good amount of boulders I got to climb over. So yeah, it is a little reminiscent of the good old Granite State. But still, everything I read online says you got to be careful about these trails, because it's easy to get lost I have not experienced that at all. There's really only been one way to go so far, other than little offshoots to go check out the river. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, with a little offshoot to go see the river. So pretty easy so far. ECO, River of Many Cliffs. I'm still on the Linville River Trail, but I think I found first place to take my first break. So far, the trail hasn't been all that demanding physically, but again, I'm walking along the river now, so it hasn't been too steep on the ups and the downs. It's been a fun trail, other than the billions and billions of spider webs. I swear, no one's walked this trail for days because I'm hitting every one of these spider webs. But I should be used to it, but you don't get used to that stuff. But so far, so good. It's real pretty. And I love the sounds of the river that you get to walk for. So, Grand Canyon of the Southeast. One of the differences, you know, a pretty obvious difference between the Grand Canyon and this place is the Grand Canyon is in the desert. So you don't get the coverage of all the trees here. And I wonder what this place would look like in the wintertime or even autumn where the leaves fall, because I think I'm missing out on a lot of really cool scenery just by virtue of the tree cover. But I walked off the Linville River Gorge Trail down to the river, and you really get to see some of the cliff features down here. But it's a really cool rocky river, you know, awesome waterfall, a whole bunch of cliffs around. And again, if these leaves weren't here, that whole face would just be one cliff face, which I'm sure would be a sight to see. It's pretty with the leaves. I couldn't imagine without it. Really nice. So I don't know if you noticed, but the river is now on the left side of me, and that is because I missed my turnoff on my trail. I got so in the zone that I just walked right by it. But that's fine. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to see that waterfall on the last video that I took. So I was only about a half mile off of where my turnoff should have been, so only adding a mile to my trip. Not a big deal. No regrets there, because again, I wouldn't have been able to see that waterfall. So here's my my other trail. So we're walking, it's supposed to be called Connolly, I thought, but regardless what that says. Oh, we got a big old dog coming our way. Hey, pal. Hey, buddy. My dog didn't want me to let me pet him. He heard the river and he wanted to go swimming instead. So I'm walking away from the river and starting my ascent, which is really meanders back to the parking area. So we're, I guess, at the halfway point. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is when things start getting a lot more strenuous because you're going uphill. Everything has been very, very tame so far. So now the work begins. Still ascending the gorge here. Got off the Connolly Trail and got on a trail called Rock Jock, and as you can see, it's pretty it's pretty thin, and I'm not the thinnest guy, so I'm rubbing up on all these leaves. A lot of mountain laurel, which grows super thick, so the cliff face is all through there, but it's not like you can see anything through that mountain laurel. It's a shame. Again, I know, just to reiterate, if I was here in the autumn, I'm sure the scenery would have been multiple times better, you know. But hey, it is what it is. Hey, we opened up a little bit on this trail, so my arms aren't going to get scratched up too much anymore. Hopefully this maintains. But it's just been it's been kind of tame on the way back. Actually, it's just a whole bunch of switchbacks, a couple muddy spots on the trail. That's really all the things of note. See, you can almost see through the trees that it would be cool scenery if you can get through there. But alas, nature's going to take over and do what nature does. So I'll check in when I get to something a little bit more interesting than scratchy arms. Oh wait, here we go. Here's a lookout. Good timing. Let's go see what this has to offer. All right, here we go. Look at that. Looks like a landslide area there. Wow. There's the rest of the gorge out there. More cliffs. So you see the river a little bit up down there. Yeah, if these trees were barren, oh, I couldn't imagine what this would look like here. Super cool. There's a whole series of trails on the other side of the gorge that are just as magnificent from what I read. A lot of people will actually wade the river to access them. I don't have the gear to do something like that today, and plus it only brings me further away from my vehicle. I'm only looking for day hikes because I do have to get back to my training on Monday. If I had more time, it would be really neat. On the river trail, I ran into a lot of people that were camping down there. The trail went right through their campsites, and man, talk about how much fun that would be. Just right on the river, beautiful, listening to the river gurgle along, and then you still get your solidarity, your aloneness down here, except for the random guy who's hiking through your campsite. Still, the majority of people you find in wildernesses, you have to make a conscious decision to come out here. You don't accidentally end up in the wilderness. So the people who are out here, they want to be out here, and I tend to gravitate towards more of that personality. So everyone I've met so far has been really cool, and I'm sure if I camped here, you'd only do that as well. Okay, let me keep on pushing forward to the back to the parking lot here. Okay, we made it. No damage done either. That was a fun hike. Like I said at the beginning of this video, these types of hikes are really deceptive because you start off the hike with a whole bunch of, you're full with vigor, but the beginning of the hike's going downhill is really not all that challenging. And it didn't really get challenging until I was about 10 miles in. So it really teaches you you got to dig deep, which, that's why we do these things. We don't do it for the ease, we do it for the challenge, right? So I always get my numbers when we're done, and we got ourselves 11 miles, almost exactly 11 miles in 5 hours 12 minutes. So that's an average of 2.2 miles per hour with an elevation gain of 3,000 feet. So not too shabby. Definitely a great way to spend a Saturday afternoon. The bugs are just getting to come out now, which is really surprising. I anticipated them this morning. Didn't really happen that much, but man, I'm getting swarmed right now. So I'm real happy that I'm to the truck, and we can go ahead and end this. Everything that I read online was saying that you really got to be careful because the trails weren't all that marked. That was true to an extent. There's only that one miss that I had that this hike should have only taken me 10 miles, but it ended up being 11 because I went a half mile out of my way, purposely to find that waterfall, of course. But thinking about it, it would have been really difficult to get lost on this trail because on that dirt road coming in runs parallel to the river. So even if you got lost, you're between the road and the river. So as long as you don't cross the river, you should know where. What I'm saying is, you put the river to your back and keep walking away from the river, you're going to hit that road sooner or later. So I don't understand how people get lost in these areas, but I'm sure things can happen. I don't want to sound too arrogant, but hey, learn your basic land nav skills and don't be a victim to that kind of stuff. But hey, we are done. I gotta find. Gonna go check out the waterfall, Linville Falls. Heard it's kind of pretty. So, that's all I have to do for the rest of the day. So I might make a video about that. I don't know. Check out the channel to see if you want to watch that as well. But hey, be awesome to each other and don't litter. Hey, speaking of which, this was the cleanest hike I've been on ever. I did not see one piece of trash out there, and there was a lot of campsites that I went through. Everyone treated this place like it should be treated. I'm really, really impressed with that aspect of it. So good on you, North Carolina, Western North Carolina. All right, take care, guys.